Earth.
Whoa, dramatic opening. Okay, just to verify, we're on Earth. Welcome to Iceland, who is on Earth. And I usually have this frozen picture of Iceland, but now, of course, we're here in May, and it's very sunny, so that's a good thing. Iceland, of course, is the home of Fanfest, and last year we had quite the epic one to celebrate the decade of EVE Online. EVE Online actually hadn't turned 10 by now. Now EVE Online is 10. And we had this amazing epic orchestra to celebrate that, where we played an orchestra track based on the music of the game. And we announced the start of the second decade. Now we're up to our 10th Fanfest. This is the 10th time we all come together, which is quite epic for me. It takes me back to when we first had the crazy idea to have a fan event in Iceland for a little internet spaceship game. And 300 people showed up. And I was the night before like, oh my God, what should I say? Anyway, today it's quite a different endeavor. Now we have a massive lineup of speakers to talk about all the wonderful things happening. Of course, EVE is also turning 11 on Tuesday next week. And to celebrate all this epicness, we of course unveiled the monument yesterday. Woo. And I really want to thank all of you how much this has been embraced by the community. And it's really humbling to see how a bit of an out there idea like this, to erect a monument for a computer game, is based on an emotion that genuinely seems to resonate with everyone that's here. I definitely saw that at the event yesterday, and many people came to me with quite touching personal stories about the monument, and there's been a bustling sort of group of people around the monument ever since earlier in the week, which is kind of interesting to watch from the CCP balcony to see everyone sort of come together at a focal point. And the monument has a cake. So this I saw on Reddit. So I think that's a great validation. We're onto something when parents of EVE players are baking cakes in the form of the monument for their birthday. Speaking of parents and families and all that, here at EVE Fanfest we have a pretty unique situation where we have so many people that come together. We have players, we have employees, we have partners, we have shareholders, we have families. It all comes together in sort of one massive celebration of EVE and CCP. So often we have gone through quite almost like a company strategy sessions at these events. Last year, we very much talk about focus, and we showed you this diagram, which is called the STAR model, which we often use to think about how we evolve the company going forward, how we continue to evolve our strategy and our structure. And I want to do a bit of a brief here on strategy now in the beginning. It very much relates to World Darkness. Yeah. Yes, which we stopped and made that announcement a few weeks ago. It was a very difficult decision for the company to make. So, but now that that is done, we look at what opportunities that bring for CCP. And the opportunity is very much, we have been doing a very large, relatively complicated strategy where we've been building, frankly, two universes at the same time and sharing a common sort of design and technology methodology between them. Right now, the strategy of the company has been simplified by a lot. We now are the EVE Universe company. Everything that CCP does, every CCP employee is working on the EVE Universe. And we very much want to make that the focus going forward and really prove out that we can make this idea of having multiple product experiences come together in a common social network, where each one of them can stand on its own merit, but together they have a massive sort of harmony effect similar to a symphony. So if internet spaceships was ever serious business at CCP, that is now the case and will continue to be so. Back to the model, I want to highlight another aspect of the model, which is people. We have had a good amount of new people join in leadership positions at CCP. You will meet some of them at the keynotes, and that is strengthening the company a lot. We have now a lot of experience. Each project has a leader now, which has a lot more experience to bring to it. And we're here in the Valkyrie keynote, which follows, and we will meet the first one, Owen O'Brien. And of course, we have a very extensive presentation program throughout HARPA, where a lot of CCP employees have put a lot of energy and dedication in presenting what they're working on. And I encourage everyone to engage with all this, as you have done so wonderfully throughout the 10 years. This really energizes us who work on the game. We get the best feedback here. It's a way to plug people that love playing the game and people that love developing our games together in a very sort of direct way. And that has always been the idea of Fanfest. Going back to the time when we decided to make the first one, it was very much after reading a lot of very pointed feedback on the forums back then, which what we have today is a bit of a cakewalk compared to what we had back in 2004. And I was thinking, I wish we could just bring these people to Iceland and just talk to them instead of writing all this epic process on forums. And that has very much been the success going forward. Of course, the story of CCP and the story of all of this is getting very long. But right now, we're in the phase, this is a picture I've brought up to Fanfest many times. We're now in the phase of establishing a universe. We're basically now, we have taken the success of EVE Online and the idea of the EVE universe, which we started to sort of formally crystallize for ourselves around 2012. That will now be the focus, and I see us in the next 18 months to 2 years get that going in a really good way. But even though some of these are very serious topics, then Fanfest is also about not being very serious. There's a lot of great things that happen at Fanfest. People have gotten married, buy all sorts of swag, continue to develop cosplay in the EVE universe. We have lightning speeches. We actually have brought many prototypes of products to Fanfest, even though EVR turned Valkyrie is, of course, the topic of today. Here are people playing EVE offline, which was another product we'd taken to Fanfest last year. Good to know. And tournaments and tattoos. It's always a bit of a cozy feeling when I walk up between the press rooms to hear the buzzing tattoo needle sort of filling the space of. And of course, if you don't want to go all the way, you can get a little face paint. Lightning speakers from developers. Here we see GM. Love this picture of him. That guy is on a mission. And engagement in a very open way, packed audience, a lot of people asking questions, happy developers, happy players, and a lot of happiness. There's one thing we're doing this time around. We continue to evolve this idea called Plex. It's actually something we've been working on for almost a decade. The first design ideas around the Plex system harken back to 2005. And we have done many things at Fanfest. At one point, we announced we sold NVIDIA cards for Plexes. Got 100 cards from NVIDIA, which we thought was enough, and obviously it wasn't because they sold out in 64 seconds. And of course, we had an amazing event with the Plex Called Good program last year, where we raised close to $200,000 to help with the situation in the Philippines. Antti will cover this more tomorrow, but yeah, absolutely. But at this Fanfest, we're doing something new. I mean, obviously, the dream of every internet spaceship captain is to buy beer for their internet spaceship money. And now you can. So there's a program here where we are basically experimenting, allowing you to trade a Plex in-game for these coins here at Fanfest, and then can use the coins to buy goods and services at Fanfest. So you really genuinely can buy beer for your internet spaceship money. We are limiting this a bit, so you cannot go and buy a house in Reykjavik yet, but hopefully it will evolve to that point. So there are some caps in place, and you have to show your ID, you have to go to a special place, and do all that. But I encourage everyone to try this out. This is a little bit of an experiment. And even though we're kind of, as you've seen, sort of theme in Reykjavik with Fanfest, we cannot take the coins outside yet. Although, I mean, I would try it out, see if you can trade it with Icelanders. Iceland currently lives under currency controls, so maybe a Plex money in an internet spaceship game is actually more valuable than the currency we use in the country. Yeah. Another thing I want to announce in relation to Plex is that as of today, you can buy the collector's edition for Plex. So there's a program now available where each EVE player can buy one collector's edition for 12 Plex, shipping included. So that is another exciting development in the Plex story. So we keep on bringing that. And there also will be more news. David Reed will talk about the collector's edition, which is quite the theme of many Fanfests. Again, we continue to theme Reykjavik, and we've seen many great examples of sort of Fanfest taking over the whole town. And of course, we hope to expand this even more. And then at some point, you, like I said, can take your internet spaceship money and buy a house in Reykjavik. But it's a bit of a tradition in the opening keynote to play the trailer from last year. Last year, of course, we were very much focused on the origin story of the EVE universe at the end of the first decade and the start of the second. So I want to sort of kick us off in gear by playing the finale trailer from last Fanfest here at the opening.
Earth, the origin of our ancestors. A century had passed since they discovered the Eve Gate, a wormhole, passage to a remote corner of the universe. New Eden. It was the largest colonization effort in the history of man. The mass settlement of hundreds of strange new worlds. We thought nothing could stop us. After the Eve Gate collapsed, countless colonies perished. The scattered survivors forgot the old world. Fragments of mankind, light years apart, lost contact. Thousands of dark years passed until humanity rose again to be with the stars. In different corners of New Eden, great empires had evolved. 4 different faces of humanity. When they clashed, the wars were merciless. Out of the years of conflict, a new kind of human emerged. One capable of immortal life. To transform into this rare breed, we pay the ultimate price. At the moment of death, our mind is transferred to a fresh clone. We have become immortal. In the sky, we reach farther. On the ground, we strike harder. The empires are losing their grasp on power. And as our age begins to dawn, they will learn to fear us.
So now, this Fanfest is very much about what the future will bring. Last year, we spent a lot of effort in sort of celebrating what EVE, where it comes from, and what is done already under the second decade. This is really the first Fanfest officially in the second decade, and the Keynote program up ahead is very much focused on that, and we have a lot of really cool things to show you guys. I encourage everyone to come to the Dust Keynote at 1 o'clock tomorrow, where we'll share some pretty cool reveals. And the EVE Keynote is one of the densest piece of work I've ever seen. And I enjoy going to have I'm very excited to see what you think of the awesome material the team has put together. Then on Saturday, we're actually turning on to more lighter things. It's been something I've learned throughout our various Fanfest. Everyone's so hungover on Saturday that we just need to tone down the seriousness a bit, and that will be done. But back to the program. So first one on stage, I want to introduce Owen O'Brien, who comes to us from Sweden, actually, where he has been working on Mirror's Edge, which is one of the sort of more innovative experiences in first person. So he brings a lot of skills and experience in how to take sort of innovation in the format of a first-person experience, which has very much been adding to the team in Newcastle, which has been working on Valkyrie. Owen, even though he joins us from Sweden, is Irish by birth, and there is something poetic about that. I'm pretty sure that my foremother got stolen by Vikings out of Ireland. That's why I have red hair. And there's something epic about, like, now an Icelandic company is stealing an Irishman to make Valkyrie. So, without further ado, here is Owen O'Brien.
Thank you. So, I've just realized I'm still wearing my tag, in case I forgot my name. So my name is CCP Beer, it looks like, tonight. Beer. Yes, which it will be in about 45 minutes. My name is Owen O'Brien. Before I start the presentation, I just want to address the elephant in the room, because with these huge lights, they're really showing off my far too new Converse. And I know that's not cool. They're supposed to be worn in. I'm sorry, I had an accident with some boot polish and I'm wearing the wrong shoes, but there you go. I understand it's a fashion faux pas. So, my name is Owen O'Brien, and I'm here to talk to you about EVE Valkyrie, which I have the great privilege and honor to be the executive producer on. What I want to talk about is the journey we've been on for the past year. The presentation's in 3 sections. It's going to talk about yesterday, so how this started and what we've been doing for the past year. Today, what the game is, and then tomorrow, what do we want to do with the game, what we want it to be in the future, and quite literally tomorrow, what are you going to see here at Fanfest. I also have 3 announcements to make. 3 reveals, and you'll know when they are because I'm going to have a big slide that says announcement on it, so just in case you miss. So just be prepared to shout when there's an announcement slide, or the next slide afterwards, because that would be a bit strange. So, yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. So this was a game, this is not a typical development process. It didn't go through a lot of sort of reviews and gates. This is a game that was born out of passion and a genuine enthusiasm for this new technology. And these gentlemen here built a tech demo in their spare time called EVR. And I think all of them are here tonight, or certainly over Fanfest. They look a little bit older now, a little bit wiser, a little bit more beaten up, especially after last night. So yeah, they created this game. They did it in their spare time, purely driven by a genuine passion for gaming. And then they took it to Fanfest last year. And if it was born out of passion, it got its drive, or it was kick-started here last year. So if you were here last year, I want to say thank you, because the reason I'm standing here, and the reason this team is here, and the reason this game exists, is because of your passion and enthusiasm. So thank you very much for that. So it caught everybody by surprise, I think. You know, it really caught everybody's imagination, and we went off on a journey with this product over the next year. It was a tech demo, but that didn't stop it winning lots of awards, including, you know, a game of the show, even though it wasn't really a fully formed game yet. And how we're making it into a fully formed game is what I'm here to talk about. Just want to point out, look how excited Andy is. It's the best day of his life. So far, tomorrow could be even better. So, what's the journey? What have we been doing since last year? Well, the first thing was we needed a team to build it, and we needed a studio for the team to sit, I guess, otherwise they get wet. So this is CCP Newcastle. This is CCP's newest studio. It was formed in 2009. It started off with guys working on Dust, but then around this sort of time last year, Valkyrie was starting to catch fire, and we took 5 of the guys who created EVR, and we brought them over to Newcastle, and we started building up that team. Team's about 25 people now. Oh, sorry, I just want to say hello to the team. I hope they're all watching. If they're not, why not? They've been working really hard to get this game together for you guys to play tomorrow, so I just wanted to say a big thank you to the team. So we had a team, we had a studio. Now we were going off what we called the Pinocchio journey. It was taking this game and turning it into a real boy. So to stretch that analogy maybe too far, you know, okay, what's the boy going to be? What sort of boy do we want to make? I wish I hadn't used that analogy. So we needed a vision, a design vision, and we sat down, and this is what we came up with. This is full immersion dogfighting. This was the vision that we created. I don't know, about 6 or 8 months ago, pretty much when I came on board. So the focus is on dogfighting. It's all about that adrenaline, that action. It's the immersive experience of being a fighter pilot. It's selling the fantasy of being in huge space battles. Below this kind of vision, the full immersion dogfighting, we had 3 kind of pillars. One was intense multiplayer action. So this is it's a multiplayer game. It's about, you know, fast-paced action sessions. It's about being fired out of the launch tube into these huge space battles with missile salvos flying across and weaving in and out of asteroids and dodging missiles. But you need something beneath that, or around that. So we also wanted to add in tactical depth. And we started off looking at a kind of a rock, paper, scissors system for the ship. So there was no one dominant ship. Every ship was weak to another ship. It's rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, you get it. So when we started off with these 3 ships. We had a fighter, we had a heavy, and we had a ship we were calling a Lancer, which is kind of a long, I guess our equivalent of a sniper, which didn't really work in VR. And we also started developing a game mode, and we had this kind of asymmetrical attack-defend game mode that we wanted to try out. And then the other thing, probably the most important thing for me, was accessibility. We wanted this to be a game that people could, had a frictionless entry into the EVE universe. They could pick up this game, they could start playing it, they could start having fun. Accessibility does not mean dumbing down. Apologies to my distant Irish relative, but it was the best image I could find after a lot of searching. But yeah, the point is, we've taken this game to, I don't know how many trade shows now. It's probably been played by about 5,000 people. And we've had everything from I'm going to insult them again, aren't I? I'm going to say the very young to the very old. I may not be here next year. My point is that everybody should be able to play this game, but that doesn't mean it's a simplistic game. There will be tactical depth to it. There will be skill involved. So we knew we wanted to build. What was the process? So it was a 3-stage process. First of all, we wanted to build on what we had with EVE VR. We wanted to take what was great about it, because obviously there was something great about it, otherwise we wouldn't want to be investing in this. So the things that were great about ER? There's George Clooney. And, no, the things that were great about EVE VR was the control system was really good. It was really easy to play. It was really the missiles were super fun to use. The problem was that the missiles were overpowered. So the first thing we did when we started to build on this thing was turn the missiles off and force people to fight with the cannons. So we had to nail the dogfighting and get that experience working. Then, so we were building on what was cool. Then the next thing was to prototype the new stuff. So we prototyped out these three ship classes, and we prototyped out this attack-defend gameplay. And then we wanted to test it. So we tested it internally, of course. Then we got friends and family in, and we got some external people in to give us some objective feedback. But then we did a big test across the whole of CCP last Christmas, December sort of time. So, it was opened up that we had a play test with the whole of CCP involved, and we took feedback, and we got very, very consistent feedback from within the team, from outside the team, from the experts, the consultants we got in, and from most importantly, from the rest of CCP. And what was the feedback? Well, it was still fun to play, which is good. Never underestimate how hard that is to find. And it was still easy to play, even though we played around with the control system. It was still cool, and it looked great. It had actually taken a step up visually. What we learned, the attack defend mode just wasn't working. The asymmetric mode, it was too hard to balance. People weren't enjoying it. Doesn't mean we won't do one, but it certainly isn't going to be what we go out the gate with, because it wasn't accessible to people. And the ships, these classes we'd created, they really all felt like kind of variations on a fighter. They were kind of like a heavy fighter and a long-range fighter and a normal fighter. And it was fun, still fun to play, but people couldn't see where the depth was going to come from, probably because the fighters were too similar. So we took all that learning and all that experience, and we started to build the real boy. Back to that analogy again. No, we're back. We started building the final game, the proper game, which is what you're going to see tomorrow. So, announcement 1. Wait for the announcement. So the game you play tomorrow will be the first time that anybody has played this game, or almost anything in the game, because the game is on Unreal 4. So you guys will be the first people in the world to play this version of the game. And I know that because we've only just finished it, like literally. Possibly not quite finished it, but so that's cool. So this game, what were we trying to do? We had, with all this learning, with all this experience, what were we going to do? Well, there's lots of areas we wanted to tackle, but for the purposes of this presentation, I've chosen 3 things that I wanted to talk about. We've done lots of other stuff too. So 3 things are, storyline. Who am I? Why do I care? Flying around shooting up shit is fun, but what's the point of it all? Roles, which is our new version of classes, and they're subtly different, and I will explain why in a minute. And turfs is another way of adding tactical depth to maps. So I will talk through each of these in order. So, first of all, the storyline. So the Valkyrie are in Norse mythology, or maybe a lot of you know this, but maybe some of you don't. So they are the shield maidens of Odin who would scour the battlefield, and they would be looking for the heroes who were worthy enough to be taken to Valhalla, where they would fight and drink and party and die and fight again forever. Which sounds pretty cool. In our game, very similar. We're taking a lot of the Eve lore. So in our game, these are fighter pilots who have been snatched at the point of death and dropped into specially designed clones. The effect is they become immortal privateers. The word privateer is important because who's doing this? Somebody is out there. They've got an agenda. They're building an army. Why? Well, the who, click, is the Guristas. So I'm not going to tell you why they're doing this or what the larger story is. That's something that we're going to be talking more about later in the year. What I do want to talk a little bit more about is the Valkyrie and their relationship to the Guristas, because it wasn't as cozy as it could have been. So, the first Valkyrie, one of the first, or the first person to go through this process was Rán. I hope I'm getting my Icelandic right. Rán Kavik. So she was a Navy pilot. This happened to her. She died, and she woke up in a clone body, and she was part of this new army being built by the Guristas. So she started off as a pirate, but she quickly rose up through the ranks to become the leader of the Valkyrie. And then something happened, which, again, I'm not going to talk about. I think Torfi might be talking a little bit more about this on Saturday, so I don't want to give that away. But for reasons that will be explained, she fell out with the Guristas and split off from them and rebelled against them, and she took the Valkyrie with them. So the Valkyrie are essentially these kind of freelance privateer guns for hire, and they've also got an agenda running around. She's got her own scores she wants to settle. And this is the Valkyrie logo, which you will see around. There's a little bit of the Gurista DNA in there, so because we wanted to sort of reference where they came from, but they have become effectively independent. We'll talk a little bit more about Rán again in a second, but before that I want to go on to the next thing, which was roles. Now, roles are subtly different from classes. Classes were kind of what we had before, which ended up just being variants on a theme. Thinking about them as roles forces us to push them further apart and really think about, what is the gameplay we want, the gameplay style we want to be encouraging on the battlefield. So we're going to have very distinct roles with very distinct functions. We're going to launch with 3: the fighter, the heavy, and a support craft. We will bring more into the battlefield later. Today, I'm just going to talk about the fighter, but do a bit of a deep dive on the fighter, because it's cool. So, in Eve VR, and actually kind of up until the end of last year, we'd been using existing Eve ships, but we kind of thought, okay, these guys are pirates, they want to take the best of any technology out there. So we also wanted to create our own sort of look and feel, and some new cool ships. That would be good. So what would happen if you take the the defensive systems of an Amarr Templar and put it into the weapon systems of a Kaldari Dragonfly by the magic of PowerPoint. You get this, which we're calling a Wraith Mark II. Now, I know there's a Wraith ship out there already, but that's why we're calling it a Mark II. But we really like the name. We like the idea that a lot of their ships are going to be named after, spirits or specters or ghosts because, of the Valkyrie and the Raun and the mythology of Raun as well. For those of you who don't know it, you should look it up. It's cool and it's very relevant. Anyway, this is our kind of frontline fighter. It's built for surgical strike, but it's also got the brawn and the defensive systems to stand up for itself. So it's kind of our first stop role in the game. It's a good all-round ship. Now, every role has two weapon systems, a primary and a secondary, surprisingly, and they also have two special abilities. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about those now. So the primary weapon of the Wraith is dual autocannons. These are front-firing, much like we had before. When you're playing the game tomorrow, I encourage you to look. I encourage you to look anyway. But if you look out to your sides, you will see the barrels pumping, and you'll see a sort of gyroscope spinning up and heating up, and that means that they're overheating. So if you keep your finger on the trigger all the time, the fire rate will go down and the effectiveness will go down. So it isn't just keep your finger on the trigger all the time and pray and spray. Although you can do that too. The second system is the missiles, the head-targeted missiles, because they were one of the coolest things we had in EVR. We wanted to keep them, but they were overpowered in EVR. So we've adapted them slightly. Before, you just locked on and you fired your whole missile salvo at that ship, and there was no choice, no fidelity to the matter. Now you'll see tomorrow when you hold down, you can as you hold down, each missile will lock individually. So you can fire them all at the one ship if you want to, or a more skilled player can decide to use his loadout or his loaded missiles more tactically. So I can tell that guy's low health, he'll only take one missile, and then I'll have a full set of missiles back quicker. They can also be blind fired, so just by tapping, they will fire directly, not where your VR head tracking, and that's good for strafing cap ships and just for skill shots or lucky shots. I call them lucky, the other person calls them skill. So look, you can see the little the thing that shows that the guns are overheating. So the two special abilities on the Wraith are both defensive, and they're actually both counter to the offensive weapons. So the first is the missile countermeasures. These are little Gatling guns that sit all over the ship and the wings and above and below, and they will pop up and they will fire out lasers and take out missiles. Sounds great, not that simple. So there's actually a mini game there as well. So imagine, if you will, painting pictures with words. So you're in your ship and there's a missile coming in. So your countermeasure system will be active and it will start tracking that missile, but you need to decide, it needs a certain amount of time to lock onto it. If you fire it before it locks on, there's a 50-50 chance. If you fire it when it's locked on, then you will definitely take out that missile. Same for any number of missiles. So you've got a lot of missiles coming in, you've got to work out when am I going to fire the countermeasure, because there's a recharge on it. So there's a little mini game strategy there going on, which again is another layer of tactical depth to the game. The second special ability is the decoy, which is the counter to the cannons. So if it will project out a hollow ship in front of you, to the other player it'll look the same as your ship, and that will fly off in a different direction and will confuse the human eye. Won't confuse missiles, but it will confuse somebody chasing you. Probably better to do it when they're not looking straight at you, so you try and get around a corner and fire off a hollow ship and distract them that way. So that's a role, but that's just the beginning. That's just the start of the adventure. you can then upgrade the role, and there's various ways. There's 4 different ways you can upgrade it. There's you can upgrade your ship, you can upgrade your pilot and their skills, you can upgrade your ground crew, and there's also customization, decals and skins, more aesthetic upgrades. Again, today, for time, and also, don't want to tell you everything, we're just going to talk about the loadouts today, so which is the upgrades you can get for the role. So, ship loadouts are they're unlocked by gaining skill points. They have a persistent effect, but you need to equip that loadout, and you can swap them around once you've unlocked them. Very important, they're modifiers. They're not power-ups. So a loadout doesn't make you more powerful than anybody else. A loadout will allow you to play to different play styles or discover new play styles. But it's a skill game, not a power game. And you can't fundamentally change the role of your ship. You can't turn like a fighter into a heavy with a different loadout. But you can make steps in that direction. So just a couple of examples. So this would be what we call a strike fighter loadout. This would be for somebody who's a bit more of a lone wolf. So they get higher Gatling damage, they get a higher boost speed, but they get a lower missile capacity. And you get with different loadouts, you get the skin changes and the ship changes and the armaments change. So this is more of a lone wolf guy. On the other end of the scale, somebody who's more of a team player might take this loadout, which is the interceptor loadout. So this has got more of the countermeasures, and also your countermeasures can take out missiles that are attacking other ships. So you've got a longer range. So if somebody's flying close to you, because we like to encourage team play and wingman play. So if you fly close to somebody who's got an interceptor loadout, then they can provide sort of covering fire for incoming missiles. But give with one hand, take away with the other. There's no decoy, and it's a bit of a slower ship. So, moving off ships and on to ships and loadouts and upgrades are kind of a meta game. You can change loadouts on clone reboot, so you can do it, on the fly in the game as well. But you need to do it, on death and recloning. Another tactical addition to the game from the feedback that we had is this concept of turfs. Now, turf is something that gives an advantage or a disadvantage to a certain role or loadout. So, for example, fighters are quite good in open space because they've got the missiles and they've got quite a good long range weapon. They're not so good in dust fields because dust fields really affect their systems and their radar, much more so than, say, a heavy, which is actually quite an advantage in a dust field, and so on. So we've got these are not all the different types of turfs, but you get the idea. If you're flying, around asteroids, you want quite an agile ship or loadout. If you're flying in an interiors, then kind of a similar thing, but you can start to do a bit more with map control. So back to Raun, because Raun's a very important character in the game. She's a lot of things to you. She's the leader of the Charistas, but she's also your leader. And she's your mentor in the game. She's the person who'll give you, take you through all the tutorials, teach you how to fly the ships. She's the person who'll give you the mission briefing. She's the person who'll give you status updates. So she is quite literally the voice in your head. So, and this is even more important in VR because we're bombarded with social media all the time. People are always tweeting and looking, and they're always doing something else. When you're in a VR helmet or headset, it is complete immersion, and everything matters so much more. So the voice in your head is super important. So we wanted to get the right voice, the right person to be that. I'm just going to play a little bit of the actor we've got playing Raun. So that's.
I've often stared death in the face. I did not run from it. I did not fear it. Even as my ship burned and my body froze, I did not fear it. But death did not take me. They did. Now when I stare death in the face, I only see myself. Now they fear me. Fear us. We are the Valkyrie.
Cool. So, very excited about this. So we were thinking who could play Raun. It's a very important role. We made a short list, and this person was at the top of the list. And hopefully you can hear in her voice that we've chosen the right person. So, without further ado, if the clicker works, Raun is Katie Sackhoff. So I couldn't be happier about this. We flew out to meet her, and she played the game, and I mean, apart from all the obvious reasons of why she's perfect for the role, she was so excited about this game. She'd really wanted to be involved. She was really passionate, and that came across, I think, in her performance, and it just means we're going to have, a great body of work from her and a great experience. But you don't need to take my word for it, because we have a message from Katie.
Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome to Fanfest. I so wish I was there with you. If I wasn't working, that is the only place that I would want to be, is sitting right next to you. Or maybe you. No, the guy in the back. Next to him, that guy. Yeah, next to you. I would be right next to that guy. Anyway, I am here today recording my dialogue for the game for Eve Valkyrie. And this is one of the coolest things I could possibly share with you. The first time I put those goggles on and played this game, the words out of my mouth were holy fuck. Seriously. And then I said, are you fucking kidding me? This is so fucking real. It's just like being in the fucking cockpit. Sorry, I know that's a lot of F-bombs, but I should have said frack. I apologize. Anyway, you're gonna get the experience of playing this game. I'm so happy for you. Enjoy it as much as I did. Hopefully I'll be there next year to see you guys. I'll join in on the pub crawl. Actually, I'll buy y'all a beer this year. Actually, well, no, I won't, because then I won't be there next year, because I won't be able to afford it since there's like 2,000 of you. So go have fun in the pub crawl, be safe, enjoy the game, frack off.
You have no idea how hard it's been keeping that a secret. It's just been... Oh, and by the way, Katie, if you're watching the live stream, you can tweet about it now, because she's been wanting to tweet about it for, like, ever. So, super cool. I hope you agree. So, we come to the final part of the presentation, which is talking about tomorrow. We talked a little bit about tomorrow already with, the game and where we're going to go with it, but this is talking about, tomorrow, literally. So, you get to play the game, which is great. The scenario we've got tomorrow is a team deathmatch, one loadout. So it's the Wraith fighter with the Wraith Mark II fighter with one of our kind of strike fighter loadouts. Two carriers, super carriers. They're super carriers. I get told if I said carriers, I'd be lynched. So two super carriers, two rival pirate clans turned up. Your team, your clan, are trying to salvage some stuff from the wreckage of a quite recently finished battlefield. Another clan turns up, and there's a quick fight over the booty. Do we use the pirate term? Har. So your guys need 3 more minutes to finish off what they're doing before you can get the hell out of there. So it's a team match. It's about taking as many of them out in 3 minutes as you possibly can. And you'll hear Katie's voice in the game, and it is really cool. Click. There's another announcement. I said there was 3. So not only do you get to play the game tomorrow on Unreal 4 with these new fighters and all this cool new stuff, and Katie's voice, you also get to play it on the Oculus DK2. Now, there's not many of these in the world, so we're very lucky to have them here. I've got to get this right. I think, well, you're definitely the first people in the world to play this game, this version of the game on the DK2s, so that's going to be really exciting. If you've played on previous versions, then you'll see a significant improvement. I mean, it's really cool. I thoroughly recommend you go along and try it out tomorrow. Additionally, we've also got, our friends at Sony have brought over some of the Project Morphei, what's the plural? Again, incredibly exclusive for us to have here. We're probably among the first gamers in the world to get your hands on this hardware. So another great first for FanFest. The slots for the Morpheus are kind of limited, so we're going to be holding a raffle for people to get the opportunity to play. And I hope I get this right, I should have checked before I walked on the stage, but I think you go to the PvP room and you get some raffle tickets, and I've got a prop. This is a raffle ticket, for those of you who didn't realize what a raffle ticket looked like. So you get your raffle tickets and you put it in the box. Then we'll have the draw, I think, on 1:30 on Friday and on Saturday. And then you need to be there, obviously. It's not like a postal thing. So if you're not there, then you don't get to play, and we will take you up and you get a chance to try out the Sony Morpheus, which is very cool. So, this has been a journey. This has been a journey, especially for the EVR guys, but also for me. This is a game that started off here, so this is very much of a homecoming. You guys were the first to play EVR last year, and now we've kind of been on this incredible journey over the year with all these shows and all these improvements and adjustments to the game and improvements and adjustments to this cutting-edge tech that we're kind of riding along with. So I really feel like it's a prodigal son story. The prodigal son, has returned. Prodigal daughter, Valkyrie, I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. So again, tomorrow you're going to be the first for any number of firsts. I've just listed them all. This is a game that has to be experienced. You have to go and play it. I can't really do it justice, but I wanted to show you something. So I just want to give you a sneak peek of what you can play tomorrow. But if you think of this and then you multiply it by the first number that comes into your head. That one. Okay, that's all I had, but it's not all that the team have. We are running a number of round tables and presentations over the next few days, so go and find them out. They dig into more detail than a lot of things I've covered in my speech. Again, I just want to say thank you to you guys. We are Valkyrie is kind of a mantra that we've come up with on the team, but really, we're here because of you guys and your passion and your enthusiasm. But both for creating this incredible EVE universe, but also for sending us off on this journey for the past year and allowing us to make this incredible game. So we're all Valkyrie. Thank you.
Thanks to my distant Irish cousin. If you could please give him another great applause. He's done a fantastic job. This will be the theme going forward. The keynote will be very serious and concrete on things that you really are going to get, and then we're going to have fun on Saturday. But a little bit in more having fun, since we had Katie Sackhoff, and we're about to head into Fanfest, we got her to record another, even more special CCP message, kind of, one in that tradition. So here she goes again.
Wait! There's one more thing I wanted to say. Harden the fuck up.
Okay, see some of you at the charity dinner later tonight, and probably all of you around Fanfest, and certainly at the beginning of the Dust keynote tomorrow. Thank you.